on the live YouTube, them titles are too long. They only accept a certain amount of letters for the title, so I can't put that whole title on that live YouTube.
Yeah, they'll hear the title when I announce it.
All right.
All is well.
Yes, Lord.
It's not
Islam.
Islam, Moorish.
Islam. And you got the prayer at 1 o'clock. Say the prayer at 1 o'clock.
Oh, gotcha.
Your mic is muted, Anwar. And you still got about 30 seconds.
Okay. I was just practicing.
Praise God. We can get started.
Islam. I am Divine Minister Anwar Guwala, Maryland Counselor, Baltimore Territory. Once again, I rise, giving perfect praise to the great God of Allah, honors to the prophet, honor to the last prophet in these days and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to the Royal Council of the Moorish American government, all the officials, all the citizens. I give honor where honor is due. I give honor to all of you. I give honor to the Maryland Council Zoom meeting and everyone in attendance. Islam. Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Islam. Islam, 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 everyone. I'm Terrell Freeman L. of the Maryland Consulate, rising and giving praise to the great God, Allah, Father of the universe. And highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I want to give high honors to our Moorish American theocratic government, and want to give high honors to the indigenous nation of Moorish America. I want to give high honors to all officials and all citizens of Moorish America, and want to give high honors to our youth, our children. I want to give high honors to the forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey-L, and all ancestors, and want to give high honors to everyone that is with us today. Islam. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on the Friday, the first man was formed in flesh. And on the Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given as slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and impartial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now this meeting has been opened according to law. We say Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Peace, family. This is Layla Shibay of the Maryland Consulate, rising and giving perfect praise to our Father God Allah, the great God of the universe. Highest of honors to our illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and high honors to his forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for his industrious actions. Honors to our Moorish American theocratic government and indigenous nation. Honors to its officials and its citizens. Honors to my Moorish kin everywhere and all things Moorish. Honors to those putting on this class this afternoon, and honors to all of those participating in it via social media. I'll be reading the chapter of the week, which is chapter 16, entitled Yehoshua Teaches the Common People at a Spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. In silent meditation, Yehoshua sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many people of the servant caste were near the place. And Yehoshua saw the hard-drawn lines of toil on every brow, in every hand. There was no look of joy in any face. Not one of all the group could think of anything but toil. And Yehoshua spoke to one and said, "Why are you so sad? Have you no happiness in life?" The man replied, "We scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil, and bless the day when we can cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha's city of the dead." And Yehoshua's heart was stirred with pity and with love for these poor toilers. And he said, "Toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace, and this is heaven. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you?" The man replied, "Of heaven we have heard, but it is so far away, and we must live so many lives before we reach that place." And Jehoshua said, "My brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of metes and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. Now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your hearts, and like a flood of life, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then the toil will be no cruel task." The people were amazed and gathered close to hear this strange young master speak, imploring him to tell them more about the Father God Allah, about the heaven that man can make on earth, about the boundless joy. And Yehoshua spake a parable. He said, "A certain man possessed a field. The soil was hard and poor. By constant toil, he scarcely could provide food to keep his family from want. One day, a miner could see beneath the soil in passing on his way. He saw this poor man in his unfruitful field. He called the weary toiler and said, 'My brother, know you not that just below the surface of your barren field, rich treasures lie concealed? You plow and sow and reap in a scanty way, and day by day you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones. This wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground, but if you will dig away the rocky soil and delve deep into the earth, you need no longer till the soil for naught.' The man believed. 'The miner surely knows, and I will find the treasures hidden in my field.' And then he dug away the rocky soil, and deep down in the earth he found a mine of gold. And Yehoshua said, 'The sons of men are toiling hard on desert plains and burning sands and rocky soils, and doing what their fathers did, not dreaming that they can do aught else. Behold, a master comes and tells them of a hidden wealth, that underneath the rocky soil of carnal things are treasures that no man can count. That in the heart the richest gems abound, that he who wills may open the door and find them all.' And the people said, 'Make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart.' And Yehoshua opened the way. The toilers saw another side of life, and toil became a joy." Islam. Gratitude for allowing me to read.
Islam, Islam, Islam. First, I want to rise and praise Almighty God Allah. I want to give honor to our holy prophet, Prophet Noble Jew Ali. I want to give honor to the indigenous nation and theocratic government of Moorish America. Want to give honor to our divine Constitution of Moorish America. Want to give honor to Act 1 of said Constitution. Want to give honor to all officials of Moorish America. Want to give honor to all citizens of Moorish America. And want to give a special honor to our children in Moorish America. Want to give honors to all of our Moors who opened our meeting according to law. Want to give honors where honors are due. Want to give honors to each and every one of you who have joined us for this Maryland Consulate Sunday Zoom class. I am Sheikh El-Bey, Vice Consul General of the Maryland Consulate, Moorish American Government. Once again, want to extend honors where honors are due. Want to extend honors to our Moorish family who's watching us on social media, Facebook and YouTube. Also want to give honors to all our Moors on the panel. Before we get started on our class, we got two new Moors on the panel. Brother Harvey L. Islam Mo, you from North Carolina territory?
Islam, Mo.
Islam, Mo.
With me.
Islam. Just checking, Mo. Gratitude. And God is Sabrina Canty. Are you from the North Carolina territory?
Yes, I am.
Islam, guys. Glad to have you. Glad to have y'all. So we're gonna get started with our class, Moors. Today is Sunday, March the 6th, 2022. And this is our Maryland Consulate Sunday Zoom class. Our hosts for today's class are our three Deputy Consul Generals, Senior Deputy Consul General Anwar Ali L, our Deputy Consul General Saraya Rehum Musa Pretabulu Bey, and also our Deputy Consul General Terrell Freeman L of the Maryland Consulate, Moorish American Government. We are on part 2 of the Divine, and this is the title, part 2, the Divine and National Movement of Moorish America starts from the center, in parentheses, knowledge of self, and must emanate to the outer bounds, the four corners of the earth. We have words to define: statehood, inalienable, service, purity, and noble. Our objective for today's class, to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister of our Moorish American government. We'll be coming from several resources: our Quran Questions for Moorish American 101s, keys 2 through 8, also from our Divine Constitution of Moorish America. We'll be coming from our Holy Quran of Moorish America, Circle 7, Chronological Order, Chapter 52, Holy Instructions from the Prophet, the Social Duties, on page 49 and 50. We'll also be coming from the Exhuming of a Nation, Wisdom of the Moors, page 238 and 239. And we have two YouTube videos, first entitled Black in America, They Know Who You Are, Here's Why They Won't Tell You. And our second video is Black or African American, Neither, Here's Why. When the floor is open, the question on the floor is, who are you in the United States government, and who do you see yourself being in our Moorish American theocratic government? And once again, when the floor is open, our Moors, new Moors on the panel, you'll have your chance to come forth and ask any questions or elaborations or comments or anything like that. So let's keep our mics muted while our hosts are demonstrating their lesson. And with no further delay, I'm gonna turn our class over to our deputies, Deputy Consul General, the mighty Musa. Islam.
Islamism. I am Deputy Counsel General Saraya Rehum Musa Tabulu Bay, rising giving praise to the Almighty God Allah, His Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the forerunner of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the Moorish American theocratic government, the Maryland Consulate, all the consulates in the Moorish American theocratic government, all my Moorish kin, everything that is Moorish, all the youth and yet born. I say peace, love, and gratitude. Today we have 5 master words of study, as was mentioned by our Vice Consul General El-Bey, and we will start off with choosing a Moor to give the definition of the term. First term is statehood. And I have a Moor give me their definition of statehood. Islam, goddess Shebe.
I'm Muslim. Praise
Islam.
God. Statehood is a noun, and it is defined as the state of being a recognized independent nation. And I see here in brackets, or it says the transition from colonialism to political statehood. Islam.
Islam, gratitude. With that term, I had the condition of being a state, especially the status of being one of the states of the U.S. Islam. For time's sake, we're going to move fairly quickly through this because to let you all know, in the past, we have, because of the spirit that's being generated of the Moors and everything, their thoughts are working quickly. We've had basically spent nearly an entire class time on defining words. So we'll keep it to one grand measure, such as the goddess just gave. I'll give my definition and then we'll move forward. Gratitude for your understanding. So the next master word of study is inalienable. Do I have a Moor who can give me the definition of inalienable? Okay, we got the Vice Consul General. He raised his hand very powerfully. Islam.
Islam, oh man, praising Allah and giving honor to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, inalienable, unable to be taken away from or given away by the possessor. You know, so in order for us to not have our rights as human beings, we unalienable means that they cannot be taken away or you can't give them away. But you can volunteer them away. You know, you can acquiesce to a slave, as our people have done in this regime, doing business as the United States of America. Our people have given up their inalienable rights in order to maintain their status of Black and African American. So, Islam.
Islam, gratitude for that measure. Gratitude for the measures that have been given as far as the definitions thus far. Even all praises due to the Almighty God Allah again, and his honors to the highest honors to his prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I see in the chat there was a statement made by Deputy Counsel General Freemanell. He said one can give away their rights. But you know, with that being said, that's a choice. My definition of inalienable is incapable of being alienated, surrendered, or transferred. Which is how we know we're not citizens of this country, because they have to do things such as ratify your right to vote, ratify the right to whether or not you are here, that you're even in this place. by the way, you are still considered 3/5 of a human being according to their constitution. And even though you were hoodwinked or tricked into thinking with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments that you are now a citizen, no citizen has had their right to vote ratified. They don't have to be even considered on whether or not they're actually here. And there was a little trick that Donald Trump tried to use. He basically tried to bring them out. He said he was going to challenge some votes in the state of Georgia because they were illegal. And he set a percentage. That was a direct reference to those Moors and Asiatics who down there voted because we're not citizens. According to the United States Constitution, not even women of European descent who were born here are citizens. Only European males who were born here are U.S. citizens. Everybody else has to be sponsored. And understand that. Islam, but I apologize. Oh yeah, I did give my definition of inalienable, but we have to understand where we are and why we need our own nation. Since you have state-sponsored murders of your people, people with badges on murdering people that look like you with your hands empty. So I'm not quite sure what threat you were with your hands empty, or with a cell phone, or with a champagne bottle, or a brush. These are some of the things that our people have been murdered with this, with that dangerous weapon in their hand. Can of Skittles, iced tea. So, and I'm really, and I'm not joking. I'm not being reckless. I seriously thought they must think that we have like a power like Spider-Man and could like shoot webbing out of our hands because they're so fearful on the sight of us. And this is something that is a cyclic, trained behavior. This is not something that is you don't wake up fearing us. But I don't want to digress because I'll be took up all the class time again. So let's go to our next master word of study. Service. May I have a more give me the definition of service? Islam. I'm gonna go with the brother, Deputy Counsel General Terrell Freeman on this.
Islam and gratitude. Islam and gratitude. I'm Terrell Freeman. No praise and honors reiterated for service, work done by one person or group that benefits another, an act of help or assistance. Islam and gratitude.
Islam, gratitude for that measure, brother. My definition that I have a couple, the action of helping or doing work for someone, which is very similar, just juxtapose the words of exactly what you just said. The second is a system supplying a public need, such as transport, communication, or utilities, such as electricity and water. They are called services. As a verb, it literally means to perform routine maintenance or repair work on, such as a vehicle or machine. The next master word of study is purity. Can I have a more come up with their understanding of purity? Senior Deputy Counsel General Anwar Ali El. Islam.
Islam. Having already risen purity as a noun, the condition or quality of being pure, freedom from anything that debases, contaminates, or pollutes, etc. Islam.
Islam, gratitude for that measure. I have a similar definition from the noun perspective. Freedom from adulteration or contamination. The example is the purity of our drinking water. I got a feeling that the people in Flint, Michigan may have a different opinion. Also, freedom from immorality, especially of a sexual nature. When we're speaking of purity, something that has not in any way, shape, or form contaminated you. That you are pure, you are clean. It is how we must operate when we are trying to operate from a position of genuine love. As a Moorish American in particular, this is what our prophet asked of us. He asked of us to have our bodies, our hearts and minds clean, and our bodies pure. We clean with water, and our minds and hearts are pure. So purity is something that a faithful Muslim must have. Islam. The next word of study is noble. And I have a more come forward with the definition of noble. Islam, Terrell Freeman.
Islam. Gratitude. For noble, dear brother, I have having or showing, or indicative of high or elevated character. Islam and gratitude.
Islam. I have it as an adjective belonging to a hereditary class with high social or political status, aristocratic. And I'm going to say that is more of a westernized definition of that word. Because in my understanding, it does not go from your class, from like, oh, you just have it in your bloodstream. You have to have a little more. You have to have conduct. Having or showing fine personal qualities or high moral principles and ideals. That is more. I have the word noble being with divine. I have it with that understanding that you are noble is of the highest. Going to the highest of. Talk about higher self and the lower self. The highest, you are at nobility when you're at the highest of your moral character. That term, of course, is dear to me because we talk about the prophet that brought us all of this wealth of knowledge for us to save ourselves, and we called him the prophet Noble Drew Ali, an earned title, not given to him by birth, but given to him by his actions, works, and deeds, is where he received his nobility. We have the Vice Consul General, Sheikh El-Bey. He would like to elaborate. Islam.
Islam, gratitude, Mo rising. Praise Allah and giving honor to Noble Drew Ali. I just want to say I'm glad that the Deputy Counsel General Freeman chose that portion of the definition, having or showing fine personal qualities or high moral principles and ideals, because like you said, Mighty Musa, this whole thing of bloodline and all that foolishness, that's European psychology. That's all that is. Whoever is a member of the Rothschild family, they know better than anybody else on this planet, probably worse. So where you came from has nothing to do with how you demonstrate nobility. And you said it, Musa. It is, and the prophet tells us that a man's or woman's words, works, and deeds are the proof of their messiahship. So I just wanted to elaborate on that more. Gratitude.
Islam, thank you for that elaboration and explanation. And it is within you to be noble, but this is an everyday thing. It is in your actions, it's in your work, it's in your deeds. It's not for anybody to, for you to entitle yourself noble. Just trust me. If your conduct is of the same as the prophets, you won't have to worry about whether or not people see you as noble. And it surely shouldn't be your concern anyway. Your concern should be continuing to get beyond that highest of your character and moving yourself in line with that deific will, so that you're straight, literally, so that you're straight. Gratitude for all who gave their measures on our master words of study. From here, I will read the objective, and then we will go into the Quran questions from Moorish America, keys from the 101s, keys 2 through 8. The objective is to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister in our Moorish American government. To elaborate on that a little bit is that we often talk about, amongst ourselves, we talk about stations, and you are, given, even down to citizen, there is a responsibility, a duty. So with a station, with a title, there is a responsibility or responsibilities that come with it. And it is not something for you to lord over somebody else. It is because, in essence, if you have that title, your work is actually being done on behalf of others. It really is not a self-gratification thing. So if you are a citizen, you should be working on behalf of the assistance of other citizens. If you are a sheik, Islam, Vice Consul General Sheikh El-Bey. Yes, sir. What say you?
Oh, you can finish your thought, Mo. I was just gonna come behind you with a few things.
No, it's redundant, but Islam.
Islam. Just gratitude for that grand measure, Mo, because see, we can't think about our citizenship like we have demonstrated second and third class citizenship in this man's government. See, citizenship in the USA is passive. It's not active. And the prophet told us that Moors are active, not passive. So even the citizen in the Moorish America has a job to do. It's not a thing where our government, the Moorish American government, is outside of the people. It is the people. So our citizens, we have work to do. We have jobs to do. What are some of the jobs? We need to make sure that in this transition period where we are still in this man's government, that we are educating our own children, but not only educating them as to who they are on a Moorish level, but sending them to Rome schools to get these degrees as engineers, doctors, lawyers, all these different things, so that then they can come back to their nation and use those skills for their own nation. And many other things that we need to be doing as citizens. But one thing is that we don't, as Moorish American nationals and citizens of Moorish America, we don't need to be sitting back thinking, what is the officials going to do? We need to be asking the officials, meeting with the officials, you know, and being a part of what's being done. See, that's the difference in that citizenship. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for bringing that home and making that perfectly clear. This citizen is not the citizen that is waiting for the government to tell him what to do. And this way, and you not, and I, just drag me along. Well, okay, well, I'll just lay here and wait until you're ready.
Islam.
Islam,
Mo. You absolutely right. Not only that, see, as Moorish Americans, we get caught up in the phrase that the prophet gave us, Allah alone is guiding the destiny of this national and divine movement. You know, when we read that, we need to understand that we are Allah on earth. So who are we waiting for? And if we waiting on Allah, guess what? Allah's sitting right beside you, waiting with you.
Who made you?
You know, that's it. That's it.
You know,
we guide the destiny of this national and divine movement. You know, so those days of waiting on Jesus is over with. You know, we got to be active, not passive. Everything that the prophet talked about implies action. Even when we read in the Circle 7 about Yehoshua and John, they always saying, why do I need to wait? Why can't I do it now? Why I gotta wait? You know, and once again, we've been waiting for 100 years. You know, that's just since the prophet came. 100 years. Don't take this long. Don't. Islam.
Islam. It shouldn't. But when you're stagnant, it does. So the time for stagnation is gone. The time for movement, because that is what is universal. Movement is universal. Stagnation is against the laws of the universe. Change. Senior Deputy Counsel General Ali L, were you prepared to demonstrate with the keys?
Islam, you said 2 to 8? Or...
Yes, sir. I believe we have a graphic for the keys coming up.
Okay, yeah, 2 to 8. Okay, yeah, I have a brief synopsis for each one of those. Shouldn't take too long. Islam Moors having already risen. Two states. Who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. And what I want to say about that is Allah is active, forceful, creative being who willed the universe to be. As our Father, he protects, governs, provides for the entire universe. He is the nourisher to perfection. Allah is Lord, Master, and sustainer of the universe. His existence is absolute. For he alone is self-sustaining, not depending on any person or thing, but all persons, beings, and things are dependent on him. 3, can we see him? And Islam.
Islam, brother. You were saying, or you asked the question, who was Allah? And Allah is the Father of the universe. If we were created in the image of Allah, and he created us in his likeness, and he gave us attributes as Allah, who makes our heaven and hell?
We do.
Islam.
Heaven and hell is a state of mind. Islam. Can we see him? No. In order for a thing to be seen with the physical eyes, certain conditions must first be met. The thing must have color, mass, texture, form, materiality, etc. Since the Lord's being is transcends these finite material conditions, he cannot be seen. Islam. Number 4, where's the nearest place we can meet him? In the heart. Answer. The heart. Let's start with that. The word heart in this context means soul. Like in some of our chapters, for instance, chapter 33, ayat 4 says, the heart of a grateful man is like the clouds of heaven. So the nearest place we can meet Allah is in the heart, not this physical heart that's just pumping blood, but the heart of soul. Islam. 5, who is Noble Drew Ali? Answer, he is Allah's prophet. And it goes to say that the answer, he is Allah's prophet, established a truth beyond reproach, a truth that stands alone and cannot be changed. Irrespective of what others may believe, the great God, Allah, chose Noble Drew Ali to be his prophet, and the prophet chose to serve, obey, and submit his will to Allah. Islam. 6, what is a prophet? Answer, a prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. So to say that prophet is a thought of Allah implies that he exists. Listen to this. He exists prior to his manifestation. Because the word says the prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. Before something can come into manifestation, it has to come from a thought. Islam. What is the duty of a prophet? Answer, to save nations from the wrath of Allah. When the deeds of a nation far exceed the limits of justice and righteousness, the wrath of Allah is incurred. But even then, before Allah sends his wrath, he sends a love thought and a mercy from himself in the person of the prophet, who warns the nations of impending doom and of the consequences of sinful behavior. Such is the wondrous nature of Allah's love, mercy, and forgiveness. 8, who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Answer, Noble Drew Ali. It goes to say, he founded an organization through which he could throw off the remnants of slavery and take our rightful place in the affairs of men. Noble Drew Ali conceived and evolved the divine idea of the Moorish Science Temple of America, having well studied the ills and needs of our people, taking into account where we've been, where we are, and where we need to go. He founded the organization, Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam, Moor, peace and love.
Islamism. Gratitude, Senior Deputy Counsel General Ali for that measure. Gratitude for the explanations of, even though the answers were there, given the in-depth, the elaborating. Deputy Counsel General Freeman Islam.
Islam.
There was something that you wanted to demonstrate from the Divine Constitution. Is that correct?
Yes, it's Yep, I can definitely segue into there, my good brother Islam. So I'm going to start off with our keys. Keeping this momentum going, reminding us that we are in a divine and national movement. And we covered earlier the importance of movement universally. So again, when we recognize who we are, and especially our natural duty of emanating from the center to the outer bounds, what is our duty as citizens in this new era of time? This new era of time speaks of many of the things that have come up in this class and before. When we speak of service, when we speak of purity, and we know purity paves the way for love, divinely, we went over this in our understanding of the harbinger, John, and the prophet, Yehoshua. Purity paved the way for love. There's a symbiotic relationship there. There is a unity, harmony. If that isn't universal, woo, you just have to step into the University of Professor Drew. Because then we could go to those keys that our senior Deputy Counsel General just took us through. And we understand by going through the keys, following the prophet, keeping the prophet out front, how we are to do this and greater. From the center to the outer bounds, going from the general to the supreme, going from the bottom to the top, from first heaven all the way on up to third heaven. Why stop? But we're giving clear cut footprints to follow, to use. And remember the prophet saying that if only he could just get us to thinking. So that's a part of the remedy to mental slavery. That's a part of the remedy to the passivity of that old era in time. So let's go ahead to Act 6 and just get a drawing. Because again, the objective is to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister in our Moorish American government. And you know how things can get in the at the carnal level. Sometimes you forget how special what you have, who you are, has always been and will be. So we have to do the work necessary. That involves the self-study. That involves, this self-study is including our Constitution. It's involving these keys. It's involving this getting together in the sacred grove to be ourselves. The temple is right here, right here. This is us right here. And we meet in the minds. We meet in the hearts and mind. And we're going to, again, keep it all one, keep this harmony, keep it moving. As a matter of fact, increase the momentum with consistency. And let that love be what it is and do what it do. Now, when we go to Act 6, and I was thinking, be that love, that's Act 3. That's the last line of Act 3, because Allah is love. So by the time we get to Act 6, with us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, Moorish American. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government. Woo! It's so beautiful because we're a part of that. But there's something we're supposed to do with that. Exactly. That's the joy. That's the joy. That's the excitement of this new era and time. But what does that mean? That's what we have to be diligent in bringing to the surface of our mind from the subconscious. We have to understand who we are all the time. There's no time to put anything aside. But when we use the tools, those ungainly parts, oh yeah, we may need to deal with them a certain way. Pull out that scimitar, hack those parts away. But why? Because it's a new day. It's a new, oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. So we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names are given to slave by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. Whoo, another big chunk. Because again, this is reminding us of what we're coming out of, where we are now, new era, and where we're moving into. And see, it's not presented in that sequence. However, when we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, that's like calling everyone off the bleachers. That's calling everyone out the country. Come out your houses. Hear ye, hear ye. Well, what's next? What's this? That's right. It's a call to attention. It's that drum that ancestrally always does what it does. It gets attention. It's the call to a focus. And this focus, again, in this theocratic government, we always keep Allah and the Prophet out front. We always keep the love out front. It takes work, but it's the work that's worthwhile, especially in your government where you are part and parcel. Now see, if you thought seeming like a real or a whole person, a real man, a real woman, a whole citizen with inalienable rights in a pure and clean system, yeah, like I don't know which dream we've ever had that made the United States system seem that way. But in all of the well wishes and well wishings, the reality remains. And as a matter of fact, the decline is unavoidable. It's you can't ignore it. It's not a matter of speaking radically. At this point, we have to speak with clarity, power, and authority, because we have no room to deny our five senses. That's a part of what we're doing now. We're exercising our five. But we have to take it to a higher tone, because this is just not, this ain't it. So again, our prophet, in the keys, we learned what the prophet did in the ninth key, when we're told what year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded, 1913. And so we saw what the prophet did. And that's, again, a demonstration of service on that prophet degree, you know, saving nations from the wrath of Allah. So that's a part of our inheritance. That's a part of this legacy that lives within you and me. And it starts first in the minds and the hearts. We have to understand who we are. We have to understand what it means to be a Moorish American. And this Act 6 is just, whoo, man, it does it for me. It does it for me. Because it even goes into those brands. And you know, we're still getting over that. It's still a part of the mental slavery, something we're shaking. You know, we got to have the right brand, the nicest brand. Which one is the new one? Let me own one and wear my, like, that's all still remnants of that old era in time. Like, it's a saturated market. You got to do so much manipulation and so forth and so on, or participation in the old demonstration, just to, that it just is what it is. A whole bunch of seeming things. There's an easier way to go about it. So, as part and parcel of this said government, beyond the brands of Negro, Black, colored, Ethiopian, etc. We know we have some new ones, African Americans, and so forth and so on. None of these have any standing. Like they're not points of unity for us. They just are what they are. They're not points of unity for us. And generally, you're going to see a lot of divide and conquer, or just a demarcated thought pattern. You don't even know how to wrap your mind around that and what it's to do, where it came from. And if you stood with the truth and the understandings of these things, you just shake them. They never been they did not, the great God of the universe and anybody in line with the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will call you by your name. And you were made in the image of the great God of the universe, same as all the rest of humanity. But it gets extra special, as far as who we are and, what we are to do with this, be ourselves, to think. So, but this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. Hold on now. We have just stepped beyond. See, there's work to do everywhere, from temple to corner, house. I mean, everything. Let's not limit ourselves. We are everywhere. However, we must understand who we are. Chapter 1, matter of fact, let's stay focused on the lesson. When one of my good brothers, when Senior Deputy Counsel General read the key number 6 and 7. What is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. What is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. One of the things that came up in those 2 keys in the commentary was, again, the understanding that being a thought of Allah and being told that and studying that and going within, we're reminded that the finite is the end result of all of this. That's the hard stuff. That's the lat. We come from the infinite. We know the great God is not seen. Where's the nearest place to meet him? In the heart. Because we know it's not the fleshy thing. But these are things that we will to demonstrate. And it feels so good because it's so natural. So we have to keep the momentum going. We have to be who we are in our government. We have to proclaim it. We have to share the good news with our brothers and sisters. This is what keeps us upright and elevated. These are putting those tools to work, using those keys, and being about your Constitution in this divine and national movement. See, it starts in the mind and it doesn't stop. But we need everything that's in the mind to line up with, the actions of our behind. So understanding the context of the 7, that is us, and the circling of that 7. Oh man, the more you study, the more it's just gonna just emanate from you. And that's who we are. But we understand why we're doing it too. And we must never lose sight. And so we finish strong here. Oh, and the last point that I wanted to make with that is to be recognized by the government in which they live. That's the Moorish American government. That's our Moorish American government, where we are part and parcel. And the nations of the earth. That's, again, breaking that mindset of like the little Boys and Girls Clubs. And I'm not citing the Boys and Girls Club specifically. I'm citing the European tradition of things like fraternity and sorority. Everything has its place, not speaking radically. However, we must know our place. And that has never been our natural root of ours that has led to a natural fruit. We can get in all types of strange fruit, pun intended. Pun intended. They are not exempt from the lynchings. That's NBCisms. That's old world stuff. That's slavery stuff. The competitions, the demarcation, the can't tell the truth, just playing my part. I'm just a piece of something in the middle of something. No, I need you to tap into your middle and emanate from there. But you can't necessarily do that any old where. It's not safe. You don't have the providence, the protections, the inalienable rights of yours haven't even been claimed, proclaimed in your name. These things have spirit, and we are of that. So we must be like the prophet and be who we are and align ourselves with our true spirit. So again, finishing strong. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Woo! And that's a loaded one right there. Loaded with the treasures of Allah. And so we get into the divine origins of the Asiatic nations. Again, that's where we are reminded we are indigenous to this whole earth, realm, plane, land. However, the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, Noble Drew Ali makes it plain in those divine origins of the Asiatic nations, and another special chapter, I want to say is 69. Pardon self, Moorish kin. Let's see, the divine origins of the Asiatic nations, and yes, 69, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. So we have points and references that keep us oriented on who we are throughout space and time. In grand measure, when the land was one, when we were one up here. And we must use these tools diligently to unite Asia in here, our mind and our hearts. This is a part of what we're doing when we read Act 6, but when we are Act 6. And so that is what is incumbent upon us as citizens first. And definitely as officials. Oh my goodness, we must continue to lead the way by applying the tools, listening to our people, going in, getting still, having those moments with the law, meeting with them in the heart, and going out there and plumbing that line. And sometimes that just means letting the Allah in us shine. Staying on, making sure we keep that ego where it's supposed to be. To actually practice love. It's good to show the love that you know, but when we're talking about infinity here, I'm sure there's room to grow, and we must be that process too, because you know, when you're doing push-ups and sit-ups, like I'm the type that, you know, I sometimes like instant results. Sometimes. But you know, you got to keep working at it. You got to keep working at it. And it can be a slow, it can be a fast, but the consistency, the honesty, the love is what brings out the results. So we must understand what the Vice Consul General reminded us about being active citizens, different than passive, second, third class citizens trying to be more than what we are, but without definitions because it seems to offend someone. Yeah, no. So with that, I appreciate all of your time, gratitude for your patience. And I'm going to call my brother, Pray to El-Bey, Dr. Musa, Pray to El-Bey to the floor. Islam, Grandman.
Islam, brother, thank you for that demonstration on the Act 6 of our divine constitution. Just again, letting us know about what we are, who we are, that this government is our government. We are part and parcel of this said government, and that we have duties as citizens. And we need to proclaim those, you know, not just a proclamation like I just yell outside. You know, we need to make sure that it is fully understood every day who we are. As you said before, we need to be Act 6. We need to be Act 6. So gratitude for that message. Now, we have a chapter 52 from the Holy Quran of Moorish America, Circle 7. The reading of that, is that coming from you, Senior Deputy Counsel General, or you, Deputy Counsel General? The reading of chapter 52.
Islam. I
The
can take
all the instructions for the prophet, social duty.
Islam. I'm gonna take care of that and keep my passions in a circle within the bounds of righteousness over here. Got these ethers stirred up. Because it's a grand thing to be part and parcel of your government where you can be yourself. It's so, even in the midst of the most outrageous things that we have and continue to experience, our brothers and sisters and us in transition, in another man's government. Wow. Praise be to Allah, these days are changing. But we must make sure that we align ourselves the right way, because we don't need to go the wrong way anymore. No, indeed not. So we have to embrace with love instead of fear a path that is already clear, but that we have to at times catch up to. We have to go through purification processes because we choose to, we will ourselves to. We use all these angels around here that know a thing or two because they've gone through the process, not just endured all the negativities. That has its place too, but the repairing of it, that involves a process of making reparations to yourself. Now that is a foundation that man can stand upon. And especially for the work that we have ahead, oh man, that is in divine alignment, divinely and nationally. Islam, my good brother, come forward. Dr. Pretu El-Bey.
Is that page 49 and 50?
Yes, indeed, Islam.
All right. Islam.
And so that, that being said, because the title of this chapter, Holy Instructions from the Prophet's Social Duties, is still, again, we need to understand who we are at all times to, as citizens now, take the charge, the responsibility, the accountability of what it means in this new era and time. And we have a lot of direction here. So we start with ayat 1. When thou considereth thy wants, when thou beholdeth thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness. O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but in the bands of society. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produceth good works. He enjoyeth the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiceth in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He openeth not his ear unto slander. The faults and failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, and he researcheth out the occasions thereof. In removing the oppressor of another, he relieveth himself. From the largeness of his mind, he comprehendeth in his wishes the happiness of all men, and from the generosity of his heart he endeavoreth to promote it. Islam. This is a reality that is. It's within you and me, and we need to bring this to greater degrees of unity and harmony, especially with the potency of nationality and divine creed, like in your own government. We don't need to practice this in all the places where it is not even desired. It's not designed. They're not prepared for this. If they are still voting on the privilege of voting for 13th and 14th, 15th Amendment citizens, are you really going to burden them with, the truth of your identity? And it's just illogical. So there's a freedom here that we know of, and we must proclaim. We must demonstrate. It is not it's a shame when we don't. We are here, there, and everywhere. And so that's what's going to help us to realize, like, wow, how are we going to take this next step? When that part of self comes up and we know it's there, we take it to a higher tone of, okay, I'm part and parcel. I'm speaking to myself. Let me sit with the law and understand by going within how to manifest this heaven, how to go ahead, keep plumbing that line and circling that 7.
Islam, brother.
Islam.
We have the hand of the Vice Consul General.
Oh, Islam and gratitude. Islam, Grand Man, come forth, Vice Consul General.
Islam, oh man, gratitude, praising Allah, and giving honor to Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Just wanted to share that this chapter that you just read is the Prophet gave us a code of conduct here. That if we follow this code of conduct in this chapter, social duties, we will never violate any 7 of these acts. So this is why this chapter is so important, because this chapter tells us just how to be good people, good Moorish Americans. Because when you read this chapter, it lets you know that it's just not you. You're not by yourself. Everything is dependent on the whole. You got to treat people right. You want people to treat you right. You should want for your neighbor to do well. And because you want for your neighbor to do well, you're going to do well. But when we look at how we are taught in Western civilization to compete with one another, one of the reasons that so many people don't have is because of the mindset that they have, that they want everything. They want a better car than their neighbor, a better house, more money. And see, we know that the thought is the cause of it all. And see, this is what happens in these type of capitalist societies. You have this mindset of I want. Not the mindset of being content with what you have. So that's why this chapter is so important, because it tells the Moorish American, it tells us how we are supposed to treat one another. That first ayat is just about a constitution, for your own very own constitution, as to how things were given to you, who gave them to you, and what your duty is to society on a larger level, a larger scale. So I just wanted to add that measurement.
Islam and gratitude, because that's I mean, you talk about hitting the nail on the head. That you did that and then some, Mo. Think you're building something over there. We love it. Because that is what we get. Camelbacking off of what you just said, there's an aspect of Act 6. All right. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. The nations of the earth. Yes, that's our place as well. And so we clean up, we purify, and we align ourselves with the activities that are consistent with our destiny. That's a part of taking our place in the affairs of men. So the seriousness of this and the simplicity of the truth should not be ignored. The work comes in right in here and changing self-mind in increasingly in the right ways, in that with that momentum that makes it easier and easier each day. Just like breathing, that's natural. Moorish American, that's my nature. It's natural. So it's going to take practice, same way bad habits take practice. So we're going to shake the bad habits and use these holy instructions as citizens. Citizens first, and then as officials, we know that, you know, this is triply, you know, infinitely significant. Our understanding demonstration in the way that has been mentioned before, words, works, and deeds. So, you know, this is why we have to use these tools to understand the conduct, to understand right thinking, so that we can allow the nature to just fill in accordingly, to be what it always has been, and not make this such a matter of rigor and force, or to make this thing any strength, our reality, the truth, any stranger than it's already seems. We have to be the love and just connect, reconnect, and reconnect. And we have to do it together. We can't take this just take it or put it on one person's shoulders, one of our brothers' shoulders, one of our sisters' shoulders. I'm not even a small few. It takes all of us, including me and you. So at every station, at every title, there's, of course, accountability, responsibility, and definitions that help to guide one's mindset on the straight path. And that's what this is for. But, you know, it's always a pleasure to be able to study with our kin and, you know, share some of the truths that I've learned, you know, along the way, and why it's important to me as a citizen first to study, to demonstrate, to come together and figure out what's next together. You know, that's government in this new era and time. So peace and love and gratitude, and we're not done yet. Islam, family.
Islam. Again, gratitude for that measure, the reading and the measure, and the understanding. Gratitude for all that you do, Deputy Consul General Freeman L., for your people, what is seen and what is not seen. Islam. Now I'm going to call on the Senior Deputy Consul General Ali L. to read from The Exhuming of a Nation, entitled The Wisdom of the Moors, pages 238 through 239. Islam?
Islam, Moors haven't already risen. Wisdom of the Moors. Accurate history reflects the holy relationship between the sins and redemptions of nations before their creator. For thousands of years, wherever a nation of few fell from God's grace into a sin and disobedience, they were racked with enslavement, war, famine, or natural disaster. Then when they were ready to atone and return to the conscious straight way, God would raise an angel, prophet, from amongst them. This angel would bring messages which would save them from the wrath and leave them a perfect book for their guidance. This book contained the written words of divinity that would match perfectly with their national character, harmonious to the divine mind. Allah would seal this redemption with giving the reborn nation a gift to offer to all nations and a road to lead all nations to their deliverance. When Confucius brought the balance, when Confucius brought the balance in the natural arts between man and nature, it was jade and rice which led roads to China. When Parabrahm Buddha reintroduced the power of yoga meditation to the Hindus, it was silk and tea which led roads to India. When Muhammad brought Islamic law to his people, it was oil which led all roads to Arabia, etc. The Moorish Americans have returned as a king and prayer nation again. They have great gifts from Allah to give to all humanity and ways to lead to them. The greatest gift the Moorish are blessed with is wisdom. Wisdom is their divine and natural national resource, and it comes from the great creator, from their creator. It is Allah alone who endows the Moors with wisdom. Moorish Holy Quran 26:2. The Hosha were returning in the form of Nodur Ali said, wisdom is the consciousness that man is art, that Allah and man are one, that naught is not, that power is but an illusion, that heaven and earth and hell are not above, around, below, but in, which is the light of art, which in the light of art becomes naught, and Allah is all. Moorish Holy Quran 7:23 and 24. This is true wisdom. Wisdom is the consciousness of self and that self oneness with Allah. Consciousness is reposed on man alone. No other creature has consciousness, and it comes from the great God. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 36:4. Wisdom comes after understanding, which is also a gift from the Creator. The gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah. Understanding is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of the art and of the not, of falsehood and of truth. This is the knowledge of the lower self, the sensing of the powers of man himself. Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 7, 20 and 21. A Moor fully conscious of himself and relying upon immutable principles of action often asks himself, have Allah endowed me with wisdom? Have he enlightened my mind with the knowledge of truth? Then he is to communicate that truth to the ignorant for their instructions, communicate it to the wise for his own improvement. Moorish Americans never change, nor do they go through changes, whereas Negroes change to colored folks, who change to Black people, who change to African Americans, etc. These changes are due to dehumanization and are not right. If a change must be made, it needs only to be one to change from a slave to a free man. The Holy Prophet, in his divine instructions, commands, establish thy heart, O man, in that which is right, and then no, the greatest of human is to be immutable. There is a maximum strength in that which is pure. It is unmatched and unequal to all other strengths. It's called the essence. The essence carries deep within itself the unhampered attributes, spirit, and science of the all, and is the zenith of perfection. The perfumes and the purity will manifest and magnify when placed in the sacredness of its own soul and condition. Would one plant an apple seed in the desert and expect a bountiful harvest? What life could the raindrop give when mixed with the crudeness of oil? Likewise, can a clean and pure nation of a divine origin amalgamate, marry, or mix with these of Uriah's origins of primitive and beasts, still to be saviors of the world? Think not, bold man, because their strength would be lost through contaminations. These issues are not from the forbidden teachings of nationalism. Today's world orbits on an axis of destructive civilizations, and it prays for the wisdom of the Moors to save the family of nations from self-annihilation. Currently, this wisdom appears unknown, but the table is being prepared in the presence of our enemies. The world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Truth is the course of wisdom. The world needs truth to reverse its present dive to destruction. What did Yehoshua tell John would make you free? Truth. What is truth? Truth is art. What is art? Art is a law. Can truth change? Truth cannot change or pass away. Modern man has built a world upon a foundation of deceptive illusions, fears, and hate, with little regard for the earth, land, air, and water. This is why the Moorish also have the key to civilization to offer the humanity. The key of civilization was and is in the hands, hearts, and minds of the Asiatic nations. There will be no peace on this earth until the Moorish Americans are recognized back into their rightful place among the family of nations. This earth, this essence, is captured as the gold capstone of wisdom and detached from the pyramid. All nations of the earth in these modern days and time are seeking peace, but there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught universally to all nations in all lands. The wisdom of the Moors is a latent power which can exert itself at the will of the user. The Europeans admit their knowledge of the Moorish powers in the movies Cocoon, E.T., Flatlines, Ghost, The Lion King, etc. All these express ancestral God powers from a universal source manifested in their own on earth, being able to cross the borderline at will and can be transmuted to the images of Allah. Just like our brother Yehoshua, this is why Yehoshua, also descendant of the ancient Moabites, said, what I have done, all men will do. And what I am, all men shall be. The Moorish Americans, as a clean and pure nation, shall do this. The first is the entire race to demonstrate the possibilities of man. This is also why the Moors must learn to love instead of hate, because their strength rests in their God powers. They do not have time to waste on European revenge, even in the midst of form. No one can gain strength from weak sources. So, Noble Ali made it a constitutional law for all Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure of love and their bodies clean before Islam.
Islam, oh man. And it's a powerful reading coming from the Exhumed of a Nation, which is a tremendous study guide and helps us to further understand our Prophet Noble Drew Ali and what he brought us and what the purpose of those lessons are and how to apply it. We now will be presenting a couple of YouTube videos. One is entitled Black in America. They know who you are. Here's why they won't tell you. And secondly, Black or African American, neither, here's why. You wanted to present them, Vice Counsel? I have them already queued up. I even got that queued up. Gratitude. First, we will make it plain about this disclaimer. These videos are not owned by us. We do not own them. We are simply using them for teaching purposes. This is why we show this disclaimer. We are using them for teaching purposes only. Classroom use, Islam.
Fear is arguably the most effective tactic of any oppressor. For so-called Black people, it breeds a great distrust between your own kind. It breeds fear that your brother or sister may lie on you, steal from you, or do physical harm to you. Granted, these outcomes are very possible and very real. But consider this: the fear of an event that never occurs happens more often than not. And that fear plays a vital role in dividing our people. Fear does more than divide the so-called Black people among themselves. Fear builds a wall between them and people of different nationalities. Fear and prejudice can make a person reluctant to communicate and assist each other. There's a mindset that makes anyone you encounter uneasy or at dis-ease because you consider yourself Black.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. I think I found the single biggest productivity hack of 2021. It's this Google Chrome extension called Speechify.
Majority of the civilized world knows the truth of who you are. Yet they won't teach or even discuss the truth about your history with you for two tragic reasons. Reasons we will discuss in this chapter of Black Epidemic. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. and the word Negro, Black, and Colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Why weren't these simple lessons taught to us as children in school? Why do many others know who we are and we don't? Why not teach us?
There are many people who do know, who don't care to teach it because they know that by teaching it, they are giving you an advantage. So some people don't want to convey that information because now your increase in knowledge, I just want to say knowledge is power. Knowledge is certainly power when it's employed. I don't want to give you any more power to gain greater access to the resources that are available. If you figure it out, I'll acknowledge you figured it out, which is honorable in a way. So, okay, yeah, you figured it out and I give you credit. So the motivations behind individual teachers or persons or whatever who know knowledge, that you got to take that on a person by person, basis. But I would say that as a country, in terms of our institutions, most of it has not been dedicated to trying to spread knowledge to create a more egalitarian or equitable society.
Those with the knowledge of our true heritage don't share this knowledge for two main reasons: suppression or Black dis-ease. Suppression. Some people don't want you to empower yourself with knowledge of self. They believe holding back this knowledge allows those in position of power to maintain that power. Or Black dis-ease. They don't know if they can trust telling you such knowledge. When told the truth, you may be likely to react in an irrational, angry, or violent manner. Remember how you first felt when you heard. The term Black is not about complexion, or Black according to science means death. What was your emotional state when first listening to these chapters? Bothered? Unnerved? Angry? Furious? Imagine how your family would react to this knowledge. Your friends, a perfect stranger. Picture in your mind a European or so-called white person telling you, white means purity, purity means God, and God means ruler of the land. The result would be a heated argument, or altercation at the least. This is why it is important for you to learn who you are, for yourself. Know thyself. It is an ancient mandate for every human being. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers.
This is our responsibility to educate ourselves. When the Jewish community knew that it was being oppressed or subjugated, they didn't wait for the Christians to teach them Hebrew. They didn't wait for Christians to teach them about the history of the Jewish people. They said, guess what? You're going to Hebrew school, son, daughter. The rabbi is going to teach you about your history. So you had synagogues or temples that were teaching the Jewish community about what it is to be Hebrew or Jewish. Makes perfect sense. Nobody should be mad at them. They're doing what they were supposed to do. The problem is we ain't doing what we're supposed to do. We have waited around for other folks to teach us about ourselves. That doesn't make any sense.
The Black epidemic is now global. Even those in South America, Australia, and Africa have attached themselves to the term Black. How do we reverse this? It starts with you, the individual. You have to see through the illusions that have been set before you by your oppressors. You must know for yourself the truth being presented here. If you're watching this, the seed of truth is resonating with you. The logic behind rejecting words that allude to everything harmful is making sense.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
As we've said many times before, we're only scratching the surface. It's time we go even deeper. We will expose even more of what you are not. This requires a greater exploration of terms which allude to slavery and death. We will have to dive deeper into the history of these terms and investigate when these marks were put in place. What was going on in the world to incite the use of these marks? Why did we begin to take on these marks? How did it spread throughout the world? And most important, how did we forget our true Moorish identity? We'll answer this and many more questions in future chapters of Black Epidemic. Peace and love.
If we want to speak about, the collective power of Black people, well, what are you talking about? Do you mean the collective power of African people? You mean Pan-Africanism or then say African. I don't understand why people are so wedded to the term Black. And the justification for it is, well, it's because the European made it negative. It's the Europeans' word. It was negative before it was applied to African people. It's like they're getting it backwards. It isn't that Europeans said, we're gonna make this word Black negative in order to accommodate our desire to devalue African people or dark-complexioned Asian people or dark-complexioned Native Americans. That's not how it works. The word Black, right, absence of light, if you will, was supposed to be understood by any English speaker as largely negative before it was applied to people of African or Asian ancestry.
И когда там что-то резко шевельнуло.
Dr. Akbar, the prominent African-American psychologist, often talks about one of our issues is that we have become, we meaning people of the African world, whether it's the continent or more especially within the diaspora, so-called Black folks, are very reactive rather than proactive, which means that if this individual is calling himself white, we're gonna react and call ourselves Black because we're the opposite. Not really understanding that we're not exactly taking a step in the right direction, because now, as I like to say, given all the linguistic and cultural baggage of Black, you are trying to push an elephant uphill on roller skates. You're trying to turn a negative into a positive when there's a clean, pure stream nearby to draw from. If you're referring to complexion, in fact, there's a famous scene in the movie Cry Freedom about the life of Steve Biko. The presumption is that this event actually occurred. If it didn't, it still made sense in terms of the screenwriters and Richard Attenborough putting it into the film. And that is, Steve Biko was in court. He's charged with basically, being seen as a threat to the apartheid system, and he was banned. So he's in court talking to the European judge, the Boer British judge, and the judge says to him,
"Why call yourselves black? I mean, you people are more brown than black."
And Biko says,
"Why do you call yourselves white? You people are more pink than white."
And the judge goes,
"Precisely."
But there's no deeper unpacking of what just occurred. And it raises an important question about systems of oppression. Why did Europeans decide to designate themselves as white? More specifically, English-speaking Europeans, because the term white is an English term. When you know why they chose the term, then you know what they sought to gain by it. When you also see that they leveled the term black against us, Asiatics, Africans, Asians, then you know what they sought to gain by imposing that on us. But why the need to fixate on black? There's the work of a Harvard psychologist who I believe is of East Indian ancestry. Her name is Dr. Banerjee. And her work on looking at the implicit association test, which is used by psychologists to look at implied bias or biases that exist. She recognizes what are often called mind bug, or in fact, she coined the term mind bugs, which are culturally imposed perceptions of reality. And the dominant perception of reality for those of us who speak the English language is when you say black or use black, its dominant use is negative. Black magic, black night, black death, right? And to try to overcome that is very difficult. Now, this is a Harvard faculty member, psychologist, prominent psychologist who's pointing this out, and she calls them the mind bugs. Now, part of what people can do, you could say, well, you need to get people to stop thinking of black as something negative. Okay, that's all right, but in the context of, do you want to fight that battle, or more importantly, should you be fighting that battle? Because you're still reducing yourself again to your pigment. And you're not looking at yourself in the context of a larger history. And if you want to, like I said, if you want to speak of we as highly melanated people, or we as NUC, or we as I would say, people of predominant African ancestry, that makes more sense to me. I'm just saying. So when I looked at what Drew Ali was trying to convey, and did convey, obviously, to those who heard what he was saying, back in the early teens and 1920s in particular, that you are not black, you are not Negro, you are not colored. Just on a psychological level, I can see the value. I haven't even gotten into what the value and importance of what he was saying by having folks reject calling themselves Negro, black, or colored, because that's a whole nother issue. I just got into the psychology of it, right? That's why people, confuse. I've often thought of this. You have a child reading about the Black Night and the Black Death and the Black Plague, and then the child goes, oh, and I'm a black child. what Benaji and others, Eric Heyman, who's another social psychologist who's talked about this issue of implicit bias and its roots not in the individual mind. You know, part of the perspective on this is many psychologists are now trying to figure out why is it that police tend to shoot quote unquote black men at the rates that they do. And is it because the individual police officer is overtly racist? And what some of this psychology is now suggesting is it may not be a sense of overt racism, but rather the culturally imposed racism, what people used to call national character, how nations see themselves as a result of their particular histories and experiences. So, like I said, Drew Ali, just in terms of saying you're not Negro, Black, and colored, was getting people out from under that weight of the negativity associated with blackness. And for people who say, well, it's better, the same person would not allow you to call him a Negro. But with all due respect, Negro is the same thing as black. If I'm speaking Spanish, it's negro. I'm going to call you Negro, right? So it doesn't make any sense. Yet, again, Moor is a reference to a people, to an empire that covered a geographical location. The Moorish Empire at one time was...
You don't ever think about getting married. Independent women don't need a man to rely on.
I have a new landscape.
From the northwestern part of the Maghreb or North Africa, all the way down to the Senegal River and as far east as the border of Egypt. That's part of what, and I'm just talking about what we know as the recognized Moorish Empire in terms of international and diplomatic history and relations. So we can say that covers a wide swath of the African continent. That would include Africans of various hues, people who would be darker in complexion and others who'd be lighter in complexion. And the primary sources from Duarte, Portuguese travelers, and Azrara and English sources all affirm that the term Moor was used for people of African ancestry. Later, the term Blackamoor is introduced, but it's part of the development of the kind of pigmentocracy direction that exists. Within the English language, just as in other languages, there are different ways to translate something more accurately. So, and one of the examples I've often used is the difference in Spanish if you're speaking of knowing someone versus knowing something, you don't use the same verb. Conocer and saber is not the same thing, right? One means to know a person, one means to know about something. By the same token, if you translate Moor to simply mean black, knowing that black in the English language is affiliated with so much negativity, long before it was ever referenced for people of African or I dare say Indian ancestry, because a lot of people seem to be under the impression that black was only used to refer to people of Africa, and that's not true. Black was, and in some cases, is still used to refer to people of Asia by Europeans. My first trip to England, and I was talking to people from Indonesia and Pakistan and Cambodia and different parts of Southeast Asia. And they were bringing to my attention how you can read articles in the paper, and this is in the early 90s, where they would talk about a black person doing something. Usually it might have been affiliated with some criminal act, unfortunately, which was part of their point at the time. But they were saying that the term was used to encompass them. And there was a debate between the younger generation of these people from Southeast Asia saying, well, we'll use the word black. I mean, people in the Americas have a black pride movement and you know, there was black consciousness in South Africa. And then there were those who were elders who were averse to it. They didn't like it because they said, you don't want to be encapsulated simply in a color, because now the emphasis is simply on your color and not on your culture. So they said, well, they saw the value of, meaning the young people saw the value of trying to use a new hip kind of term, if you will. But the elders said no, because what that's doing is reducing your value, because in the English language, Black is largely associated with a bunch of negativity. And just like Richard B. Moore said in his book from the 60s, the term or the word Negro, its origin and evil use, he made the same argument. Why you shouldn't use the term Negro? Well, guess what? Negro is Spanish for Black. So folks went from Negro in Espanol to Black in English, but it's still the same thing. And I literally mean thing. So defining yourself by an ethnicity or a nationality clearly would make more sense. And when the late, great political scientist Ali Mazrui, who was known for doing a series back in the 80s on Africa, he was Kenyan born. He actually said, Black people are the only group in the United States that is designated racially as opposed to geographically, right? Or nationally. And this is part of the problem, right? You have, and that's why I've said to people all the time, why don't we speak of yellow Americans, right? If we're going to use the color nomenclature, use it across the board. Just use it all the time. But if someone will say, well, I'm Irish, I'm German, I'm Black, and they're running through their lineage, and I'm going, all right, Germans come from Germany, the Irish come from Ireland. Black, what is that? At least, well, I don't, because we don't know where we're from. You can at least say Africa. At least say Africa, right? At least say African. I know I have some African answers. And now in this day and age, you can even do an Ancestry.com test, and they can tell you, right, what part of Africa, what ethnic group or nation or so-called tribe one is from, right? So the value of not identifying with Black is it compels you to be more specific in identifying culture, knowing your geographic origin, knowing your history.
Don't worry, you don't need to memorize everything from this chapter. You can click on the link in the description below and download the study notes for this chapter for free. Using the exact notes from this video will definitely elevate your own studies. Also, be sure to subscribe to Amexum and hit the notification bell for more videos and resources just like this one. We'll see you in the next video.
Islam. That ties into the lesson because, again, as citizens of your own government, you need to know who you are. Who you are, who made you. And I was glad that they kept emphasizing that there is no country called Black. Everybody else has been identified by their geographical location or their nation of origin, but from a landmass, not from a color. Everyone else takes being identified as a color as an insult. Like you're making me no different than the Rock. And I know the Rock has a spirit, but you have to see like you're above the Rock. And I'm not talking about Dwayne Johnson either. We gotta get out of this mental funk. Again, I keep hearing the justification, but we taking back the word, to empower it. No, you're not. It was a nasty, low connotation word before you took it. When they applied it to you, it was nasty. It was not a reference of pride. They were insulting you. They were degrading you. And now you take it upon yourself to degrade you by calling yourself Black, Negro, colored. Objects are Black and Negro and colored, not you. You know, and as he said in the video, you know, you can at least say the continent of Africa. At least you're in the right direction. At least you're in the right. You know, you came from somewhere of the continent of Africa. At least that would be something, as opposed to the nonsensical. I'm a Black man. I ain't know nothing about no. I come from Detroit. Nonsensical behaviors. It's just imperative upon us, man, to and I use some leverage to try and draw attention to what is extremely serious. What is extremely serious. We are walking around calling ourselves deaf. So in turn, I want you to, that clever dude that you keep calling the white man, that European, in turn, when you say that you Black, he goes ahead and fires it up. Yeah, you Black, he proud. He now suddenly he'll sponsor Black Lives Matter. The most ironic group of folks I've ever heard of in my life. Black Lives Matter. We know that Black in science refers to death. Black in law refers to death. When a law is a Black law, they're either saying that it is no longer in existence, or they're saying it applies to you. That's what they say when they talk about a Black law. Everything, if you just read the list in the dictionary, Black is applicable to every negative thing you can think of. Even your lies are white lies. It's an innocent lie. Also, an ironic, paradoxical term, an innocent lie. But a Black lie is the most dirtiest, dastardly thing you could say. The white cake is angel food cake. The Black cake is devil's food cake. Have we lost our damn minds? Have we lost our minds? We as a people don't even come in one shade or one hue. We are the spectrum. We're the only ones that can produce the spectrum. Why is that? If you're so lost and last on every row of society, why are you the only one that can produce something that looks like everybody else on earth? There's divinity in you, you haven't even claimed it. You haven't claimed your nationality, you haven't claimed your divine creed. It's yours. Stop asking for them to give it to you. Take it. It's yours. Embody it. Be the example that it is. Stand up. You all keep talking about these civil rights. You don't even have humane rights. Think I'm kidding? How many dogs you seen get nailed on the neck? I'll wait. Did George Floyd get nailed on his neck? I mean, it's incomprehensible what they'll do to us. And we'll accept it, or we'll go around and march. They shoot a young woman's house up because they think that her drug dealer boyfriend's in there. Oh, by the way, she broke up with that young man nearly 1 year ago. So your investigative measures are horrid. And nobody's guilty for her death. That just came out. That decision just came out. So understand, if you do not have a nation behind you, You are blowing in the wind. Come to your nation. Come to your salvation. Come to what is yours. It's your nation. And there's work to do. So don't come here just and lay back. Come here with your boots and your hands ready and your mind. Come ready to work. Work for your own benefit. You've done enough work for him. You've done enough work to make all the United States legacies rich and wealthy beyond their wildest dreams. You've built up virtually everything in this country. You've even gone to war to enslave people that look like you. Gracious. So there is a question on the floor. Question on the floor is, who are you? Excuse me. Vice Consul General, what say you, sir?
Islam, man, I'll turn it over to me. I'll handle it from here. Cause you sent the yeah, I got it. I got the question.
It's Islam.
Islam, man.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Grand measures, Mo. Grand class. Grand class. You know, the Dred Scott decision of I think it was 1857, that has never been overturned. Never been overturned. You know, a European, so self-proclaimed white man has no the Negro or black person or African American has no rights that self-proclaimed white man has to respect. Still holds true today. You better not have your knee on no German Shepherd. You going to jail. You going to jail. Even if he biting you, you better not put your knee on. You know, because what's that organization, PETA or whatever? Yeah, they'll hang you. Oh yeah. And guess what? I don't know whether it is because of it, but a German Shepherd do have a nationality. Do have a nationality. So Grant,
and can get on the force and be labeled a police officer.
Come on. So Grand Message Moors, we're gonna open up the floor. Let's remember our objective for today's class: to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister in our Moorish American government. First of all, you can't be Negro, Black, colored, and African American. Definitely. You know, and then our question on the floor: who are you in the United States government, and who do you see yourself being in our Moorish American theocratic government? And I'm a see if our Council General is free. I know he is on a mission. I just want to, out of protocol, I want to see if he is available. And I'm sure that he's not, being about his father's work. And so I'll call on our Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Sharon Khadijah Bey. Islam, you there, Goddess?
Islam Moors, I had to work. I'm just coming in at the end. Rise, giving praise to God Allah, honors to his prophet, honors what honors due, honors to divine guidance, honors to Act 1 of Moorish America government, honors to today's class, and most important, honors to our citizens. I'm just going to listen for now because I, just trying to wind down, and but I always glad to give praises and honors where honors is due. Islam.
Islam, and gratitude, Goddess, for all that you do, and honors to you, and put your feet up and wind down, definitely. Question on the floor: who are you in the United States government, and who do you see yourself being in our Moorish American theocratic government? I'm gonna go ahead and take that one. praising Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, noble true Ali. The first part of the question, who do I see myself as in the United States government? I see myself as an undesirable. They really don't want me here, and I don't want to be here. I was born into this menagerie, this regime. I wish that Moors before my time would have straightened it out so that I would not have, but it is what it is. But I don't see myself anywhere in this United States government except for being in a transition period to create my own. So to go to the second part, who do you see yourself being in our Moorish American theocratic government? I see myself being one of our vocabulary words today, a servant. And my service that I'm gonna give is to my people, myself and my people. And that service is helping to raise our own government, because we have been shown year after year after year after year, and that year after year after year is now at 530 years. So that's many year after year after year after year that they have shown us that they don't want us a part of their system. So it's almost like if you have a bicycle, and everybody knows the basic components of the bicycle. The sprocket is connected that the pedals are connected to. The sprocket has teeth on it, and those teeth catch the chain links, and that gives it the leverage to pull the bike, those sprockets with those teeth. Now imagine if you had a bike where all of the teeth on that sprocket were broke off of it. So it had no teeth. It was a smooth, just a round piece of metal. Now imagine that chain over that round piece of metal and you trying to ride that bike. What's going to happen? Your pedals are just going to spin. That sprocket is just going to spin. Now, how long are you going to keep getting on that bike, trying to ride that bike somewhere when it's not working? The pedals, you just spinning on the pedals. Now you're gonna get back on there a second time. Maybe you will try it, Are you gonna get back on there a third time, a fourth time? Are you gonna get back on there 530 times? See, this is the insanity of our people, Moors in America, proclaimed Moors and unproclaimed Moors, more people that don't even know they're Moors. But they do know that something's wrong. They do know that they see other people succeeding where they're not. Other people able to live in better neighborhoods, safer neighborhoods, have better jobs, get better loans, all these different things. Our people see this. But the insanity comes in when our people still think that they're going to make this thing work. Just like the doctor, El-Bey, talked about, we think that we're going to change Black. Our people think that they're going to change Black from a negative to a positive. If you are a whore, excuse my French, but we're all grown. And that's male or female. It ain't no way that you can dress that word up. No matter how you try to do it, you can't do it because it has a negative connotation. As soon as it hits your mind, it's negative. Just like the word Negro, colored, black, African American, you know, that means absolutely nothing when it comes down to the status of a people, who the people are, where they come from. That's even more confusing. So where did we come from? Africa and America? You know. So it's been a grind class because it's a wake-up call for our people, you know, to understand that it's a dead cat on the line. And it has been a dead cat on the line ever since 1776, well, really 1774 all the way up to today. It's a dead cat on the line. You know, it is a game being played. It's a matrix being played on us. You know, and we just won't accept the truth. You know, why is it that during this, well, the month is over with, but last month on this so-called Black History Month, why is it that you only hear about little silly stuff about who invented the hot comb and the potato chip and the traffic light? Who cares about who invented that stuff? But you never hear about the civilizations that we developed in what is called Asia today. The civilizations that we developed in what is called Australia today, in the Americas today, in Europe today. We don't hear about that, you know, because it's only certain things that they're going to tell you to keep you in a certain place. You know, so-called black man invented the potato chip. Okay, well, he's partly to blame for all the diabetes that we have. You know, so that's the truth about that. You know, because you know you really shouldn't be slicing the potato thinly and frying and eating it any darn way. It ain't no good for you. But guess what? Darn near all of us is hooked on them. So thank you, whoever you were, brother. You aided and assisted in keeping their death care system, not health care system, but death care system going. You know, the traffic light, who cares? The gas mask. Well, guess what? If they wouldn't be bombing people with noxious gases, we wouldn't have needed him to make the gas mask. You know, but you don't hear about they don't even talk about Kemet anymore during so-called Black history. Anything positive, they keep it away. Anything, let me say, anything globally positive, they keep it away. You know, and guess what? It's supposed to be our people's month, our people's history, but they decide what gets out and what doesn't. Guess what? The Free Moorish American National, Allah made us, but guess who made the black man? Guess who made the Negro? Guess who made the colored person? Guess who made the African American? The powers that be, along with their Negro lapdogs. That's who made these people. And their Negro lapdogs perpetuated today. I said it, they're Negro lapdogs, they're politicians, or they're politicians. You know, that's who perpetuates our enslavement mentally and economically today. Negro politicians. soon I'll be coming with a lesson one of these Sundays, and the title is going to be Negro Political Masturbation. It's the time is declared out for these cronies of this system that look like us. It's time for them to go. They have caused more harm to us than any Ku Klux Klan. I ain't never seen a Ku Klux Klan member in my life. But guess what? That Ku Klux Klan member want the same thing that I want. He want his people to be okay. I want the same thing. I want my people to be okay, and let him be over there in the trailer park and let me have mine over here somewhere. And we don't ever have to speak to each other again. But the problem historically has been these Negro politicians. I ain't even giving them Black or African American. They right there, Negroes. Sick of them. Sick of them. So we got some more time, Moors. If anybody else want to elaborate, come on, Moose.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Vice Consul General. Thank you for hitting them in the head, hitting the nail on the head. Because playtime is over. We have burned the ships and they have gone and fallen in the sea. Forward march on the land. Land ho. That's where we're going. So all praise is due to the great God of law. The most gracious, the most merciful, and the highest honors to his prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and the forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garden. Who am I in this United States government? I am unfulfilled. I'm the stone that the builder refused. I am incomplete, even by their definition, 3/5. They really don't want all of me. They just wanted the piece of me that they could use. So I am no different than throwaway trash in their government. So I choose not to participate and subscribe to their government. Yeah, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm independent, I'm in all those parties. How about that? Put me in all of the parties. How crazy do I look voting for a particular party when they all have helped to enslave my people and use my people to today, and then find themselves a yes, sir, master, no, sir, master. I work fast to work and keep us in line. Officer, overseer. You got the overseer boy in place. So I don't see myself in this government, the United States government, at all. Who do I see myself being in the Moorish American theocratic government? I see myself being a servant to the people and a servant to myself, because I am a part of this society. I'm a part of this government. I see myself following the laws, the universal laws that the great God of law has already put forth. The principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice is how I operate. That's how our divine constitution operates. Nowhere is there in there war. In fact, it says, do not harm your fellow man. Do not harm your brother or sister. That is a complete violation. Every single time that you harm your brother or sister is a violation. So in there, I want to teach in that government. I am a teacher. I am a practitioner in this said government. This government welcomes me and wants my talents. So I give wholly of those talents. Islam.
Islam, mighty Musa, grand measure gratitude for that. Gratitude for the class. You mentioned something before about when Donald Trump was put them lawsuits out because of you know what he said about illegal votes. You know, he was telling the truth, right? See, because let's say there's and you heard what areas he talked about the votes being illegal. They were urban areas. So 99.9% of the time, they were votes from our people, so-called Black people, so-called African Americans, right? Let's say it was 100,000 votes that he said was illegal, right? They were illegal because the Democrats tried to count them as 100,000 people, citizens, when they only should have been 60,000 votes.
60, it's only
60,000 votes.
Only 60%.
Guess what? Trump wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. You know, he wasn't lying. You know, we still, if all 6 of us on this panel voted today in some U.S. election, there would only be, no, it would only be, it's 6 of us, right? So it would only be like 3.25 actual votes. You know, now, so but here's the hit behind. See, the European needs us for 2 things. He still needs us for our spending habits and to vote his people into office. All right. You know, he needs that 3/5 vote, right, to keep this political game going so that people think there's actually parties and somebody's working for him, you know, this whole game up. And he needs the spending habits that our people have. You know, now, if our people just came together and decided we wasn't going to spend no more money, right? All we would have to do that for is 2 weeks and this thing would fall. During there, the whole world's economy would fall. There's no other people on earth that spend the money that we spend on foolishness.
Number 1 consumer on the planet.
On the planet. On the planet. They talk about Walmart is the reason that China has more dollars than the US has, right? But who is in Walmart spending all them dollars? Us, you know. So
us in the United States, by the way. Just us in the United States are the number 1 consumer on the planet.
Yes. On the planet. Because guess what? In these other countries, the so quote unquote Black people don't have the money that we have. We don't even have it, but we spend it. You know, every other nationality is putting it up for the future, is sending it back home, is building communities, all that kind of stuff. You know, we out buying belts and tennis shoes and chicken boxes, all kind of things.
See, you ain't up on it. See, because if you ain't got another man's name on your belt, you ain't paid $600 to a G for that belt, then who are you? You ain't nothing, man. That's why y'all ain't putting y'all ain't even got no Air Jordan on your face. What's wrong with y'all, brother?
$600 belt and it ain't got $600 in the bank.
Sound
You
like
know,
priorities to me.
may not even have a bank account.
You're talking
You know.
about those folks that the brothers and sisters in other places. They have the money. They just prioritize it different.
They prioritize. Yeah.
They make sure that
They
family is taken care of first.
They doing no, Musa. They doing dumb stuff like taking care of their elderly parents. You know, real frivolous stuff like making sure that their children have a future. You know, silly things like that. You know, putting their children through school so that their children can actually help their community. You know, they doing dumb stuff like that. They're not smart so-called black people like our black people in the United States. You
Teaching
know,
their own children their culture and
that's
identity.
it. That's it. That's it. That is it. That is it. You know, so I just once again want to say give y'all honors for the class. You know, it is that time. Unfortunately, when we get going, right when we get going, it's time to stop. You know, so I want to give honor where honors are due. Want to give honors to our three deputy council generals for a grand class, and you know, I want to see before we close out is our council general able to say a few words. I'm thinking he's still being about his father's work on a mission, and he is definitely Islam. Well, grand class Moors, and you know, before we close out, I want to put this up on the screen for anybody that's watching on Facebook that has any questions or comments or wants to hear about their government. Please send emails to either Maryland Consulate mag1@gmail.com or MD Consulate mag@gmail.com. Once again, MD Consulate mag, the number 1@gmail.com or MD Consulate mag@gmail.com. For anybody watching on Facebook, on YouTube, that has any comments or questions or wants to find out about their government, please send us emails and we will get responses to you as soon as possible. Want to say gratitude for all the Moors on the panel, and also gratitude for all our family watching us online. And Moors, we will see you next Sunday. Is that you, Musa? You know you're sharing something, Musa? Musa, can you hear me? Oh, okay. Can you hear me, Musa?
Islam, I hear you.
Islam.
It said Huckabee says Dred Scott is still the law of the land.
Yeah, we are. It is.
That was his recent statement.
It is. It hadn't changed. You know, the truth is, if it wasn't the law of the land, they wouldn't be debating whether they're gonna give you the granted privilege to vote for the next 10 years. So it still is the law of the land. You know, Islam. After I read this, you got the warning, correct? Anwar? Islam. Moorish leaders' historical message to America. In conclusion, I urge you to remember there is work enough for all to do in helping to build a better world. The problems of life are largely social and economic. In a profound sense, they are moral and spiritual. Have lofty conceptions of your duties to your country and fellow man in general, and especially those with whom you deal. This includes such honesty and righteousness as will cause you to put yourself in the other fellow's place. Look for the best that is in you. Have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. Brighten the hopes of our youth in order that their courage be increased to dare and do wondrous things. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am your affectionate leader. I shall continue to labor day and night, both in public and private, for your good, thereby contributing to the welfare of our country and its people as a whole. Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Having already risen, January 15th, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at European. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam.
Islam, Mr. Shankar Bey, already risen, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relations that bind you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother's in adversity, assist him. If thy sister's in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his cares be continued to you all in your love to each other. Keep up the good work, Moors. Islam.
Islam, Islam. Grand class, Moors.
Islam.
Islam. Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Peace and